If you've ever felt stuck, unmotivated, or just unable to get things done, this video might be for you. We're going to talk about something that we all experience at some point. I feel like it's that frustrating feeling of laziness. Maybe you've been wanting to start a project, but you keep putting it off. Maybe your to-do list is piling up, but you just can't bring yourself to start. Maybe you want to be productive, but every time that you try, you get distracted, overwhelmed, or just tired and fatigued. And I've been there too. Some days I feel like it's just easier to binge watch through Netflix, scroll through Instagram, or do anything but the thing that you actually need to do to achieve your goals. But here's the truth. Let me say it once and for all. You are not lazy. Yeah, you're not lazy. You just haven't found the right systems to work with your brain instead of against it. So in today's video, I'm going to break down 5 powerful habits that will help you stop procrastinating, stay focused, and actually feel good about getting things done and achieving your goals. And these aren't just random tips. I'm going to explain why they work as well, how to use them in real life, and how they can completely transform your productivity levels. By the end of this video, you will have a clear plan to beat that laziness and actually start taking action, because life's too short to not go after your goals. So grab your notebook, get comfortable, get a matcha, get a coffee, and let's dive in. Okay, let's start with why we may think we're lazy or we're just lazy individuals in our life. Before we jump into looking at the habits, let's actually talk about why we would struggle with laziness in the first place, because I feel like that's very important, understanding the root and then solving the problem. A lot of people think that being lazy means you're unmotivated or you just don't care about your goals, but in reality, what we call laziness is, I feel like, often caused by something a lot deeper. Firstly, one of the reasons could be that you might be burnt out. Have you ever had days where even simple tasks just feel exhausting? And that's not laziness, that's actually burnout. When you're constantly under stress, when your body is under flight or fight mode constantly, your body and mind start to just shut down to protect themselves. It's like when your phone overheats, which happens a lot in the it stops working. It needs to cool down before it can function properly again. If you've been pushing yourself too hard in life or just being too hard on yourself, whether it's school, work, personal pressure, workout pressure, anything, your body might be forcing you to just slow down. And the solution here is not to push harder, it's to rest smarter. And I'll talk about that later in the habit section. And the second reason could be that you're overwhelmed by way too many tasks at one point. Sometimes we procrastinate not because we're lazy, but because the task ahead feels very big in hindsight. Our brain doesn't know where to start, so it just shuts down because it's really overwhelming. This is known as analysis paralysis. When there are too many decisions or steps, we end up doing nothing at all. And I've done that throughout my life. Think about a time when you had a huge to-do list to do. Maybe it was a school project, a work assignment, or just cleaning your house. You looked at the entire thing together and thought, this is too much and I don't even know where to begin, so I'm just going to sit and watch Netflix. So instead of starting, you distracted yourself. Maybe you scroll through your phone, you watch TV, or you took a nap. Anything to just avoid dealing with that huge task at one point, because it's overwhelming for you. And that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens when our brain perceives something as too big or too complicated. Instead of taking action, we will freeze. And one example that I can give you that just demonstrates this so beautifully is in The Karate Kid. If you've seen it, it's a movie released in 2010. The movie just talks about the power of small wins. So when Dre, who is the main character, he wants to learn a sport, which is Kung Fu in this case, he personally expects that he's gonna jump right into cool fighting scenes and fighting movies, but his trainer actually makes him repeatedly take off his jacket, hang it up, pick it up, and then put it back on. Over and over again, the first few scenes. At first, he's really frustrated, like the main character. He wants to learn real Kung Fu, not just pick up his jacket. But what he really doesn't realize is that each small step is teaching him something important, which is discipline, precision, and muscle memory. Eventually, all these tiny, seemingly pointless actions add up. And when the time comes to actually fight, he realizes that his body already knows the moves. This is exactly how tackling overwhelming tasks works in real life. Instead of trying to clean your entire messy room in one go, start with something small. Pick up just the laundry, wipe down the surface, organize one drawer. When you complete a small task, which is very doable, your brain gets a small dopamine boost almost, which makes it easier to complete and keep going. And in this generation where we're so addicted to that instant dopamine boost, it can really feel frustrating to do something that we know is really big. And that's why we need to kind of break things down. Small wins will build momentum in your life, and before you know it, you've made real progress. because they all add up. And the same principle applies to work and studies. If you have to write one long essay, don't think that I need to finish the whole thing today. That's like Dre expecting to learn the whole sport in one day. Instead, break it down, write one paragraph, find one research source, even if it's just one page that you complete. Obviously, if you don't have your deadline soon, once you start, you will realize that you're already in the flow and it's just better to finish it off, and finishing the rest will feel much more easier. The third reason why you may think that you're actually a lazy person is that you could be addicted to instant gratification, which happens to almost everyone in this generation because of social media. Now our brains just love quick rewards. That's why social media, video games, binge watching TV, because you can just switch it with one click, feels really good because of that instant dopamine hit. But when it comes to real work, real progress, it actually takes longer. Writing an essay, starting a business, growing your YouTube channel is not going to give you, it's not something you can get instant results out of. When I was in a calorie deficit for a week, I didn't see any results, but I had to understand that it takes time and takes me doing this every single day for maybe 6 months or a year to actually see long-term results. So if you're addicted to instant gratification, which most of us I've seen are, that impatient people like me, your brains will resist this new path. The trick is to retrain your brain to see progress as rewarding, and I'll show you how later on in this video. Or then the fourth reason why you feel like you're lazy is because you're actually afraid of failing. And this one is a huge one. If you've ever put off doing something because you thought, what if it's not good enough? That's not laziness. That's the fear of failure. Sometimes we avoid big tasks or good tasks because we're scared that they won't turn out well, because we're so attached to the outcome that if that doesn't happen, you're terrified of that. So you just put it off. But the truth is that waiting doesn't make things easier. Taking action, even imperfect action, builds confidence. The reason I put off YouTube for almost 10 years wasn't because I was lazy. I was just waiting to be perfect. I was waiting to be my perfect self, but that's never going to happen. And that's only going to happen if I start YouTube and take action. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, now that you may understand why you label yourself as laziness, let's go over 5 habits that will help you break free from it. Habit number 1 is to romanticize the first 5 minutes. Genuinely, the hardest part is never actually doing the whole thing. It's just starting it. It's that moment right before you begin is when you're overthinking, before you just get up and go to the gym is when you're overthinking, the dread that I don't have the energy today voice really gets the loudest before starting. You're not lazy, you're in resistance, and resistance isn't logical, it's emotional. Your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort because it loves being comfortable. It's saying that this task feels too big, it feels too heavy, let's just stay in the familiar, let's scroll, let's snack, let's clean. Something that's not urgent, anything but this. And this is where the shift happens. Instead of thinking, I have to get this whole thing done, switch it up to I'm just going to do the first 5 minutes. That is it. You don't need to commit to a full workout or the full video script or the entire room cleanup. You just need to start doing it. And to make that start feel more inviting, you can romanticize it. Literally make the first 5 minutes feel like a mini mood ritual for you and for your day, and feel like you're in a movie. Here's what I do when I'm dreading to do something. Like, I make a little iced coffee, I tie my hair up in a claw clip, I light a candle, something cozy or citrusy so it smells like I've got my life together. I play a playlist. I have a lot of them on YouTube that makes me feel like I'm in a montage of my own success story, and I tell myself, just do it for 5 minutes, no pressure. Even if I do it for 5, at least I'm starting. Sometimes I'll even speak out loud to trick my own brain. Like, I say things like, this is gonna feel so good once I'm in it. I don't need to finish it. I just need to break the resistance of starting that. And every time, once I'm in it, I keep going because the dread is always worse than the doing. There are so many days when I genuinely don't feel like recording content, but I just tell myself to do the first 5 minutes. And then once I'm done with the first 5 minutes, I'm just like, let me just finish the script today. And then I'm in the flow, I'm enjoying, and I'm so happy I'm done with it once it's over. This works because of something called the Zeigarnik effect. It's a psychology principle that says that your brain hates open loops. Once you start a task, your mind actually becomes restless until it's complete. That little doorway into momentum, it's powerful. It's almost like when you need to get rid of your social anxiety, you give your brain 3 seconds to just go and approach the person. And once you do, everything turns out fine. You don't need motivation to take action. You need that tiny action to then feel motivated. That energy you're waiting for, it shows up after you take the first action. So romanticize the start, please. Make it cute, make it cozy, make it light. Don't wait to be in the mood. Just create the mood around you. That's what gets you going. Even the smallest spark, even one draw, one sentence, one email is enough to light up the whole engine and get you going. Habit number 2 is to use the 1-3-5 method. Okay, now let's talk about to-do list, because if you're anything like me, you've probably made one that looks like a scroll than a plan. A million bullet points, a bunch of like vague goals. I used to do that all the time. And by the end of the day, you've done maybe 2 things from that, but you feel like a failure because the rest of it is still staring at you and you just feel like you haven't accomplished anything. The problem isn't that you're not a productive person. It's that your list was never realistic to begin with. We need to be realistic with ourselves. Enter the 1-3-5 method, aka the productivity hack that actually respects your real life energy levels. Here's how you do it. So you plan your day by choosing one big task, the main thing that you'll move your life or career forward, 3 medium tasks, which are supporting tasks that require effort but aren't major lifts, and then 5 small tasks, which are easy, quick, fun, maybe check it off, things that create flow in life, but they're very small. That's it. All you need are 9 intentional choices in your to-do list. No overwhelming yourself, no guilt. Let me give you a real life example of how it could look for one of my days. 1 big task would be film a YouTube video. 3 medium would be plan out a content week, edit the thumbnail, and send a pitch to a brand. 5 small would be cleaning my desk, booking an appointment, doing my nails maybe, reply to 3 DMs, do a 10-minute walk, charge my microphone. All of these small tasks which don't require a lot of my energy. Now you see the balance in that? The big task is actually my anchor task, and the small one will give you quick dopamine hits that actually build momentum. Because here's the thing, when your list is all big and all pressure, like I said, your brain will freak out and it goes into a freeze mode. But when you start your day with a small win, like taking off making the bed or responding to a message or an email, your brain will release dopamine, which literally fuels more action in this day and age. And this is backed up by behavioral psychology as well. That's why I read it, because progress creates motivation. And when you follow the 1-3-5 method, you end your day with clarity. You're not sitting in like, I was busy all day, but I still feel like I didn't do enough feeling. You actually know what you've accomplished because it was measurable and it was more like thoughtful. You've written it down. So if you've been feeling like your life is just one never-ending list that you can't keep up with, give yourself structure. It makes you feel like the highest version of yourself, giving yourself structure. And some days you may only get through the 3 rules or the 5, and that's okay. The 1-3-5 method reminds you that progress isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things with real intention. And when you feel in control of your day, you naturally look and feel more put together. At least that's for me. It's not about doing more, it's about doing things more in a more smarter way. And then habit number 3 is to connect tasks to a bigger identity. You're not lazy, you are not undisciplined, you are just not acting in alignment with the identity you think you have. Let me explain. Most of us, we don't struggle with taking action because we're incapable. We struggle because we don't believe we're the kind of person who does the thing. So we will say things to ourselves repeatedly like, I'm not that consistent working out. I will always procrastinate. I'm such a mess. I get excited about things but never follow through. And what does that do? It reinforces that exact identity that's keeping you stuck. You are making yourself believe that's you and then doing that. It's such a self-abandonment prophecy. Because our brains, they don't act based on how we want to be, they act based on who we believe we are. So here's the shift you need to do. Instead of trying to force discipline out of willpower, start shifting the identity underneath that habit. So before you start something, anything, stop and ask, who would I be if I believed I was consistent? How would the version of me who trusts herself show up today? What would the most confident version of me do right now? Even if it's small, what would she do? Let me give you an example over here. If you're someone who's putting off working out, you keep thinking, oh, I'm just not a workout person. I always fall off. But what if you instead just for once, for a year, said this to yourself, that I'm becoming the type of woman who moves her body because she loves to keep herself healthy and take care of herself. I'm the kind of person who keeps her word to herself because of my self-respect. Even if you do that thing for just 10 minutes a day, even if it's a strength stretch, even if it's a 10-minute walk, you've still acted in alignment with that new identity. And that is what builds this anchor in your subconscious. That is what will build momentum. This is also backed up by research from Atomic Habits by James Clear. He says that the most powerful way to build a habit is not to focus on the outcome, but to focus on becoming the type of person who does that thing consistently. It's not that I want to write more, it's I'm a writer. It's not that I want to eat healthier, I'm someone who honors her body. So what is that? It's identity-based action. And once you lock into that, the discipline will flow naturally. Trust me, it will. You're not forcing it. You're just acting like that person, the version of you who is just trying to become. So every time that you take one small action that aligns with that new identity, your brain literally rewires itself and believes it's true. One rep more or one task, maybe one more boundary for yourself, you start becoming her for real. So next time that you're feeling lazy, ask yourself that, is this really who I am, or is this just someone I've just been used to being, or I've practiced being my whole life? Because who you have been like is not who you're stuck being. You can change. And then habit number 4 is to build a distraction-free ritual. Let me admit something really quick. We live in the most distracted generation ever. Our phones are constantly ringing, notifications are popping. We have Instagram, TikTok to just go and look at everyone else's lives. So your brain is, I feel like, constantly being pushed into 25 different directions before you've even had breakfast in the morning. So if you're sitting there wondering, why can't I focus? Babe, that's not a discipline issue. It's literally an environment issue, and that's not your fault. Your environment either works for you or it works against you, and that's your choice. So instead of trying to force yourself into being productive in chaos, design a space for yourself that makes focus feel more natural. Like you're gliding into the task instead of dreading your brain behind you. That's where your ritual will come in. You need a distraction-free setup that signals to your body that now it's time to lock in. I am not distracted. We're not playing around. We're doing this. And here's what mine looks like on a typical day, and you can do this as well. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I flip it over and I will place it out of my reach. I tie my hair back into like a sleek bun, a claw clip. I feel like I'm in like a movie studying, and it makes me feel like I'm in control. I will light a candle because I love lighting a candle. I just love the smell and the vibe, the romanticizing feeling. And then I'll grab my drink. I love matcha, so I'll grab my iced matcha, or then sometimes lemon water, or then black coffee whenever I want to, whatever gives me that productive but soft feel that day. And then I play a small playlist on my TV that sets the tone, and I have usually a focus playlist like jazz, lo-fi. So whenever I'm writing my YouTube scripts, that's the vibe that I set, and I take like hours and I will just go into the flow and I will finish that script. And it's not about making your space Pinterest perfect in any way. It's just about creating something that feels intentional, like you're taking your focus seriously, like you respect your own energy and your work block, and you're getting it done no matter what. There's a psychological reason that this works too, is that our brain loves patterns and triggers. When you constantly pair the same setup with a focused task, your brain will learn that, oh, this is the focus zone now. This is where we get stuff done. It's no longer about motivation. It then becomes a muscle memory for you. And obviously there's a reason this works, is because of the aesthetic side. When your space feels clean, cozy, and romanticized, calm, you naturally feel more put together, and that energy will show in your work. Like it genuinely shows in the creativity that flows within my scripting. Even if no one else sees it, you feel it, and that's what matters. So instead of waiting for the perfect time to start, create the perfect time, because you can control how your life goes. Because you're not lazy, your space is just full of friction. So remove it, reset, and show up like the version of you who doesn't need chaos to feel important. You just have to hustle a little harder. You just need to set the scene for your success intentionally. And then habit number 5 is to reward completion, not perfection. And this is for my overachiever girlies, the perfectionists, the girls who want to get things just right all the time, so they end up doing nothing at all. Now let's talk about that. You're not lazy in this sense. You're just scared that what you create, what you put out, what you will finish doing won't live up to the expectations that you have for that version in your head. So what happens? You just keep planning, you keep drafting, you keep telling yourself you'll start when you feel more ready, when the timing's more right, when you look better, when the vibe is better, but deep down you're just scared that it won't be perfect. And what really is perfect? Nothing. Perfectionism is just a trap. Like, you will never be perfect because perfectionism isn't real. And waiting for something that's not real, that's just procrastination in designer clothing. So here's the shift. You need to start rewarding completion and not perfection. Like, did you finish the video? Even if the lighting wasn't ideal, even if you kept stuttering, you'll edit that out later, but did you finish the video? Yes, you did. Congrats. Did you clean your room even if you left the closet for tomorrow? You finished it. Did you hit post even if you're not sure about how you look in that? You posted. You did the thing that you said you would, and that deserves to be acknowledged. Because when you finish something, when you follow through, your brain, like I said, gets a dopamine hit, and that dopamine is what creates the drive to do it again. You kind of see, it's like an addiction. That's literally how athletes train consistency. No one likes getting up at 4 a.m. and going for a run. No one. I'm telling you, if you're like, they just have it easy. No, they have trained that into themselves. If you only let yourself feel proud when something is perfect, your brain never learns how to celebrate progress, and that's dangerous. But if you start clapping for yourself every time that you follow through, you build the confidence that you've been waiting for. So from now on, I want you to create a completion ritual. Nothing big, just a small moment and a little moment of like, I did that. Like, I did that. I recorded that video today. Light a candle, do a happy dance if you want in your room, journal one line or say it out loud that was enough for today. It's okay, I'll continue tomorrow. Because confidence doesn't come from nailing something every time. That's not possible. It comes from building proof that you show up. Even if it's messy, even when you're unsure, even when you're not in the mood, because a lot of the times you won't be in the mood. And showing up for yourself over and over again, that's what this whole video is about. That's what getting rid of that laziness is about. So those are the 5 habits that have truly helped me stop labeling myself as lazy and start actually getting things done. Not from a place of pressure, but from alignment, ease, and flow. And listen, I know what it's like to want to do more in life all the time, but constantly feeling behind. I know what it's like to scroll through other people's perfect goals and lives and wonder, why can't I be that productive? Why can't I just start? But the truth is that you really can. It's in your hands. You just need better tools, better systems, and a little bit of belief in the version of you who's already doing that. So I want you to pick up one of these habits, just one. Try it for a week, romanticize the start, build a ritual, speak to yourself a little differently and a little less harsh. Finish something small and celebrate it and watch what happens. If this video has helped you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below which habit that you're actually going to try first, and share this with one of your friends who you think is lazy but isn't really lazy, is just lacking some systems. We don't gatekeep anything over here. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're just getting started, and I love you and I'm so proud of you. You've got this. See you in the next one.